This week we're talking all about Ghost of Yotei, the Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 remasters, and also the Black Ops 7 beta. All this and more on this week's HGO podcast. Hey, how's it going everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ethan, and joining me as always is my good friend Hunter. Hey Hunter, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
I don't know why I was so pumped there. It's like I'm so excited to talk about Ghost of Yotei, you know? I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. I don't know,
More
mate.
excited than PlayStation is.
Dude, I feel like I'm equally as excited as PlayStation because I too got home after a long day of work on Thursday and went, oh, there's something at my door. Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 must be here. And then I opened it up and I'm like, oh, Ghost of Yotei's out today. That's crazy. That's mental. Who would have guessed? It really has cropped up out of nowhere, hasn't it? And it does just, I don't know why, because it's like, I don't know, is it weird? Is there something in the air?
It's weird because it's like PlayStation's big release of the year.
Yeah.
Because I don't really recall what else they would have that wasn't like
DS2, but DS2 is also like, we love DS2. But
yeah,
it's not a blockbuster sales wise. The first one, it did pretty good, but it wasn't like Ghost of Tsushima or God of War or Horizon levels of success. It's just the weird little Kojima nerds love it, like we do.
And I understand that they want to claim that as like being the PlayStation thing or whatever, but
it's also everywhere.
Yeah, it's Kojima's thing, not from one of PlayStation's own studios. It's like how they claimed Stellar Blade last year.
Or Helldivers 2, because that's also technically not. But yeah, it feels weird. It's come out of nowhere. But here we are, everybody. We are talking about at least two of the big three releases here. Obviously, unfortunately, our Final Fantasy Tactics expert, Kyle, was unavailable to tell us how good that game is. So we're never going to talk about it ever again. Hope that's cool. Now, I'm sure the next time if Kyle's on, we'll get him to bring it up, I'm sure. But in the meantime, we're going to be talking all about Ghost of Yotei. We are going to be talking about those Nintendo Switch editions of Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. We're also going to talk about the Black Ops 7 beta because I've been playing quite a bit of it and I've got some interesting thoughts and perspectives to give on that. And who knows, we might dive into what we've been playing, might have a little discussion about another game, but I'm not going to promise it because I always promise these things at the start of the episode and then we end up rambling and going on forever and we never bring it up. So I'll leave it as a tease. Will it show up? Check the timestamps, I guess. But hey, this is the HGO podcast. We're here every Monday around 5 p.m. UK time, 12 p.m. Eastern on podcast services everywhere and at youtube.com/hot gamers only. Housekeeping for you. As always, we really do appreciate any likes, comments, subscribes, and follows on your favorite podcast platform. We really do appreciate it. I have noticed the numbers are trending up again as we go into the holiday season, so thank you so much for your support. I'm very glad that Hollow Knight Silk Song episode was an anomaly and not
just a scare.
Yeah, it was just a scare and not a bleak look at things to come. So thank you for your support. And hey, if you are enjoying the show, literally the best way that you can support us is by either one, subscribing to us on YouTube and following on your podcast service. It just really helps in terms of getting publishers and developers to notice who we are. And two, following us on Twitter. I'm not calling it X. Following us on Twitter if you want to keep up to date at Hot Gamers Only. Again, that also helps when it comes to discoverability and we really appreciate it. We're on Blue Sky as well if you go that way. I don't judge. You can pick your poison. I'm fine with it. But yeah, thank you for the support. Obviously, hotgamesonly.com, new reviews coming out soon-ish, I suspect, as well as Kyle's monthly articles that you can go and check out as well, if that's all cool with you. Anyway, let's dive into it. Ghost of Yotei, Hunter. Not only has this game kind of come out of nowhere, it's weird. We're living in like a weird world where it's like, I haven't put that much time into Ghost of Yotei. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah. I'll be upfront right now. Usually, when we come to these first impressions, unless it's a game that I don't jive with, I try to like put in a good 6 to 10 hours before giving any impressions on a video game. That hasn't happened this time. I'll just be blatantly honest with you. It just hasn't. Life's got in the way. I've only played roughly about 2 and a bit hours of this game. How much have you got into it?
I would say I managed to get like 4, maybe closer to 3.5.
Okay.
You know how it goes.
So take all of what we say with a grain of salt. We like to usually be a bit more prepared, but hey ho, life gets in the way sometimes. Hope you understand.
It shouldn't have released the week after Hades 2 and Silent Hill, as far as
Yeah, it's just it was
that's
it's a it's
concerned.
it's a it's a funny week in general because, like I say, you've got Final Fantasy Tactics, you've got this, you've got Call of Duty doing its beta later than it's ever really done it. You've got like Hades 2 was massive last week, Silent Hill F also doing extremely well. You've got games coming out next week as well. It's just like there's a constant kind of everyone was scared of GTA, and now there's just like this bombardment of just a load of stuff that was like, oh, we're free, GTA is fine. And I'm like, yeah, but did you think about the competition with everybody else? Like, did no one think about this? Did everyone think the end of September, beginning of October was just a safe time? Because it seems like it's just chaos is let loose. But
To be fair to Ghost of Yotei, I feel like they're not really someone who has to ask themselves these questions.
true, but I am also, as somebody who tries to keep up with everything, it's very hard to get attached to
Oh yeah,
something like
it
this.
absolutely sucks to be on this end of the road for this in this case, but you
Yeah,
know,
but hey ho, Ghost of Yotei is the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. It stars Atsu, a character who it's like takes place 300 years after Ghost of Tsushima, so it's not linked. It is more of a tale in the same universe. And that universe being historic Japan, our universe.
yeah,
I don't know why I said that as if it was like, Starfield or something, where it's like, yeah, it's like, like it's very weird. But yeah, so it's like it's another tale, and it's another legend in this kind of historic Japan. And you're playing as a character called Atsu, whose family is murdered by the Yotei Six, and is on a journey of revenge. And my first thing that I wanted to say was when I heard that they called themselves the Yotei. That's not a rumor. That's what they went with. That's like their gang name is the Yotei Six. I'm like, that's awful. Like that. What a bad. You couldn't come up with something better. That sounds like a Ubisoft thing. You know what I mean? Like that kind of.
yeah, yeah. It's not great, and especially when they obviously answer to one guy. It's weird that they have a title that distributes the fame a bit more
I mean,
evenly.
I don't know what it is about it. It just doesn't sound like they've done this. Obviously, they've done it before. Like obviously, the Fiendish Five. But that sounds cool. The Fiendish Five sounds cool. You know what I mean? The Yotei Six doesn't really. It sounds like It sounds like a J-pop band that didn't go very far. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't sound apt to the time. Anyway, I digress. Just being a bit cheeky at the start. I mean, it's the TLDR that I have on this game is it's just more Ghost of Tsushima. Like that is
Yeah,
genuinely like they do not this is a sequel. This is very much your Infamous 1 to Infamous 2. This is very much like a juiced up sequel in the sense of they've taken, if you like Ghost of Tsushima 1, like you like Ghost of Tsushima, you'll like Ghost of Yotei. You just will, probably.
yeah.
I'm liking the story a lot more than I liked the start of Ghost of Tsushima. I think it has a bit of a stronger premise. I think Atsu is a much stronger character than Jin is, just from the base. I think Erika Ishii is doing a pretty good job. It's just, I don't know, dude. I don't know, Hunter. Is it winning you over a bit
I
more
don't
than the
know.
first time? Is it?
I don't know. I feel like the first time I was, open to being, open to the new world and all of that. This time, I feel like the start was a little clumsy, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, first of all, it's a bummer that we kill the snake right at the beginning because he was fun for all 2 minutes he was on screen.
Yeah.
And who knows how entertaining the other people are going to be in between there. But as far as that's concerned, I feel like they kind of muddied the water in that confrontation, just as far as um, they showed off that she was like a ruthless ninja willing to, take shortcuts to win as far as like she just stabbed him in the ribs 3 million times right at the end in a bit of desperation.
Yeah.
But she also died herself, in quotes, and came back like right after that. And I feel like you should have split the confrontation to be one or the other, because I don't know, why didn't she just set the thing on fire without warning if she was that ruthless?
It's
Or kill them in their sleep or something, you know? And
it's
if you wanted to show off that she was like some kind of unstoppable monster, then you should have just let her like take a bunch of fatal stab wounds, and then do the whole, I'm possessed by a ghost thing.
well, that's like, because I'm not gonna lie, I was sitting there going, I was like, oh, is she dead? Oh, she's not dead. Is she dead? And I'm like, no, I'm like, obviously, everyone calling her the Onryo. It's like, I'm like, oh, because she's like, she just keeps talking about it. She's like, I'll avenge you and then I'll join you. And I'm like, is she like I'm like, did she die in that first when she was in that fire? Did she die and then come back to life? And is that something that she has where she's like, she
Yeah, it
has
could
like
be
this
like
power
the
that refuses
crow.
to kill her, and like she refuses to die until her deeds are settled? Is that the idea that we're going with here? And then she'll phase out like like a Jedi ghost at the end of episode 6. I don't know, man. It's like, I like the character and I think the story, I like the premise more, because it's like about an hour into the game you go back to your home and you've got these flashbacks of the family, right? So you get to meet the mom and the dad, and you've got a twin brother. And it's like, I like these characters immediately more than I liked the supporting family members in Ghost of Tsushima, because I don't know what it was about Ghost of Tsushima. I don't know if I just kind of felt like the uncle nephew dynamic was just a bit generic for me. But it's like, I kind of like having this family around where it's just like, oh, there's no rivalry here. Like, they're just a family, dude, that gets absolutely battered by the Yotei 6. Like, they just get absolutely massacred, and it is just a revenge story. I kind of like the idea of a revenge story more than I like the idea of the, oh, I've got dad problems storyline. Like, that's more interesting to me.
Yeah, it's like, okay. So, first of all, PlayStation's run into an issue where a lot of their first party games are running into the same subject matter.
Totally.
And they're also all like sequels.
Yeah.
So, if this one was just a revenge story that's straightforward and not trying to be like, oh, revenge bad and whatnot, be like, no, sometimes people deserve to die, I'd be down for that. But, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, I feel like the beginning was a bit of a weird tone setter is all.
Yeah, I can agree with it. And I think I want to have a question. I want to go down a little bit of a different route in terms of conversation later when it comes to the PlayStation exclusive as an entity hunter. Because there was something that popped into my head. Like I say, I played around 2.5 hours. I think it was something like that in the end. And I was just like, something came up in my head like 80 minutes into the game. And I was like, oh, I can't stop thinking about this. But I'll get to that later, because I don't think it's fair. I don't think that's a Ghost of Yotei problem. I just think that's a Sony problem in general.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the game, I'm like, the visuals are still great. I don't think the visuals are as impressive as the first time round, because when Tsushima came out, games didn't look like games, the leaves everywhere and all that kind of jazz. It was such a beautiful game. But I think a load of developers in the past 5 years have really stepped up their game, where I'm still looking at Tsushima and going, beautiful game. The leaves like blowing in the wind as you walk past them and stuff like that. I'm like, great touch and it looks fantastic. But I'm not as wowed this time. I'm just like, this is a good looking game. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And they do it feels very safe. This game feels very safe. That's what I would say about it. Is it feels very safe. It does the exact same kind of, it has the exact same kind of cutscene pacing and dynamics, where it switches to the beautiful like kind of ink brushed artwork animations into, full CG cutscenes and etc. It does the same swooshing, you're riding your horse title scene moments. It's like, it's very much playing by the book of what they did last time, which, again, if you're a fan of this game, like the original game, you're going to be like, oh yeah, this is great. This is what I like from it. And I'm just sitting there going, oh, okay, we're doing this again.
Fans of Bamboo Strike are rejoicing everywhere.
Dude, I do love a bit of Bamboo Strike, dude. I do enjoy a bit of of quick time event action.
Oh,
But
man, I can't believe they asked me to use the touchpad in a mandatory scenario no less than 4 times in the first hour.
I did feel like the touchpad got used more in this game than my touchpad has been used the entire generation so far. Like, I think this is the first time, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. But it's like I'm going through the motions, those flashback scenes I thought were really fun. Being able to hot swap between the past and the present is cool. It's a nice little, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart kind of moment. I'm like, that's interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
But then as you get into the open world again, it's like, you stumble across a bandit camp, you kill a couple of bandits, you go and find a guy who sends you to a shrine shrines are how you level up your upgrades this time. I'm like, okay, we're going through it. This is what it is. Okay, we're going through it again. I don't know if as the different combat styles unlock, because obviously the way that this game works is you have like different weapon styles and that affects the way you play. I don't know if that will make me go, oh, this is drastically different, but I'm just currently sitting there, and it's, it's almost similar to how I was describing Death Stranding 2 when I was playing Death Stranding 2, where I'm like, it's just, in terms of gameplay, it's just a better Death Stranding 1. And this is, so far from what I've played, a better Ghost of Tsushima. But also, I wasn't in love with Ghost of Tsushima, yeah.
They do have the decency to like give you, aside from like the weapon styles, which they're still introduced. They tell you how to get them really quickly. They lay out the general where to go for it pretty quick, and I already have the dual katana. But aside from that, they do seem to pretty much lay out your kit right away. As far as like when you go to that inn the first time, you already have the ghost stance of the game this time. Although I gotta say, the Onryo HOW feels kind of nerfed compared to that one, where you only get the one free shot.
Yeah.
And I seem to remember being able to kill at least 3 people with 0 resistance in Tsushima.
Yeah. It does feel slightly... I don't know if maybe they had internal data that would suggest that everybody was just stealthing everything instead of actually doing any combat, which... I know for a fact, I'll hold my hand up. That's how I played most of Ghost of Tsushima, because I didn't enjoy the combat that much. So, it's more Ghost of Tsushima, and that's fun. And I don't know if, because I played Assassin's Creed Shadows as well this year, I don't know if it's just like it's better than Assassin's Creed Shadows than from what I've played so far. And there are little bits where I'm like, oh, this is like. There's some things where I'm like, oh, that's cute, or that's like interesting. The riding through the white colored petals to make your horse go faster and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. You're taking something that just looks inherently cool and turning it into a gameplay mechanic. I like that. I think that's fun. But I don't know. I just feel like I've played a dime a dozen of these games this year, in terms of open world exploration. I've already played one that's set in feudal Japan. So I'm just kind of sitting there going, where's the kick here? And I've not really found it yet. Again, I'm only 2.5 hours in. I'm going to literally, once this podcast is rendered and uploaded, I'm going to get straight back to it, and maybe I'll come back next week and go, I'm a fool! But so far, I'm just kind of sitting here and I'm very whelmed. That'd be my kind of go-to impression, is just like, it's more Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, it's pretty much what you would expect, I'm sure. Like, yeah, if there is some kind of twist that I think makes it substantially better later on, I'll be the first to say so. But
it's not the kind of game to do that. It's not a Kojima game where you think something's going to be pulled out of the hat halfway through or something like that. It's but what it is great. Like, what it is great. It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm playing this on PS5 Pro, and it looks phenomenal. They've got all the ray traced bloody blahs that I don't care, but I've got them turned on because I can. It looks great. It plays pretty well. I had to change the controls because the default control scheme is absolutely abysmal. Any game that has
Yeah.
R2 as interact, that's a war crime, like straight away. Like, what the hell are you doing with that? Like, that's
The first game couldn't have been like that, right? Like,
maybe
there's
it
no way it
was, and I
was.
changed the
I
control
don't.
scheme on that one as well. I don't
It's
remember.
because I remember like leaving square and triangle as the attack buttons in that one because that's not that weird to me because of
Mm-hmm.
all the like PS2
Yeah,
action games I've played before the overtaking of Souls likes and whatnot. So that
yeah, yeah.
wasn't that weird. But yeah, like R2 to interact with things was a very strange proposition to me, and maybe I just deleted that part from my memory.
I just instantly changed it. I was like, nope, not even partaking in this, to be honest. Having everything be on like the face buttons, I'm like, this doesn't feel too good.
Yeah,
Hey, I
it's
hate
weird.
the light attack, heavy attack, parry, dodge of every single video game now. But if you're gonna do it, put it on the buttons that we all know what they do. You know what I mean? Like, don't reinvent the wheel here, especially when you play exactly like those other games. You know, this does not play like a character action game. It doesn't. It
Yeah, no.
plays like a Assassin's Creed, God of War, Witcher 3, RPG light action game. Just kind of own it in that respect, really. There is an option to do it
Yeah.
straight away, though, so fair enough. They realised that a lot of people won't like the control scheme, so there's a preset.
There was a left-handed control scheme, which is the most foul thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's diabolical, isn't it?
Like, as someone who is left-handed, I've never wanted my face buttons to work on the left side. I've just always accepted that the left is for motion and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
Uh,
obviously it's got all of your little modes as well. You know, it's got your Kurosawa mode if you want to play like that. It's got another one which I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's just that the game's a lot more gory if you have that one on. There's a lot more blood and stuff like that.
mm.
There's one where there's lo-fi music that plays while you're going around if you want to, similar to like Shampoo, but I'm like, that's cool, and I'll probably enable that
I,
if I go around doing all the collectibles. Then that's probably what I'll
I
enable.
feel like I wouldn't want that on like my first go around at
Yeah,
all,
that's like
though.
that's like a I've beaten the main story. I'm doing the arbitrary Ubisoft objectives. Let's tick that on, I guess, which is what I'll do. But yeah, I mean, like I say, it feels like more Ghost of Tsushima. If you like Ghost of Tsushima, you'll have a good time. But it's not doing anything to Death Stranding 2, for better or worse, softened some of the edges to make it more appealing to people that weren't originally fans of the first game. This game doesn't seem to do anything different in the sense of, hey, you didn't jive with this about Ghost of Tsushima, well, we've got you. It's kind of just doubled down. And I'm like, fair play, but a lot of those teething issues are still there. I like the wind gimmick was funny for like it was fun for like the first hour of the first game, and then I got bored with the wind gimmick, and now it's like I've got to do another game with it. Like I'm like,
Yeah, all of the little thing, all of the diegetic things they do to hide the fact that it's just a really good Assassin's Creed game
yeah,
are all still there, and it's to the benefit to make them better than Assassin's Creed games. But still, you see if you saw through the Matrix by the end of the first game anyway, then you're gonna see it all again immediately this time. Uh,
totally.
I will say one thing that
Mhm.
they have that like is addressed not being able to lock on in the other game. That is something you can do here. You have to go and turn it on,
Yeah.
which you know silly. And if you don't, and it's kind of clumsy as
Mm.
far as locking. For starters, up on the D-pad in combat, and not like you know one of the other buttons that would be more helpful. But
I feel like
what can you do?
the combat is very cinematic, and I almost mean that in a like in a critique and not a I'm not praising it for being cinematic. I'm almost critiquing it for being cinematic in the way that it doesn't feel very fun to play. It feels like it feels very much like old Assassin's Creed where it's just parry and press the attack button, parry and press the attack button. Now he's doing an attack you can't parry. What do you do, ladies and gentlemen? You just press the other button that's not a parry, it's a dodge, but it's just like, and again, it doesn't have that Souls difficulty where it's like, I think the beauty of the Souls games is they give you a very, at times, like, unless you're going crazy with the build, very simplistic move set, and it's just mastering those basic tools of a light attack, a heavy attack, a dodge, and a parry, right? If you're playing Bloodborne, a parry, I guess everything else is just a regular dodge. This game's like running on the same kind of system where it's like, it's a parry, there's a heavy attack, whatever. But the combat just kind of, it has that Assassin's Creed 2 effect where it's like one guy will go at you at a time and there's no real like fluidity and you still feel extremely clunky. And if you ever see any of the first couple of hours of footage, that you'll see that I do so much janky stuff where it's like, if you jump in the middle of combat, you just start going, woo! Like, it's just like, it's very weird. Like, it just, there's something about the combats that just doesn't jive with me that much in this game. It just...
For all of their while I was getting the dual katanas and whatnot, they mentioned, each weapon has it has like the rock, paper, scissors effect. It did for the encounter that they were telling me that for. I did not feel such a need to switch weapons after that, though.
Yeah.
It was like, fight other sword fighters with your sword instead of two of them, because I guess you need the full force of two hands or something. I'm like, yeah, no, you really don't, though.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like I say, I think the game is fundamentally good, and if you like the original Ghost of Tsushima, you'll like this. I will continue playing it. I'm hoping that a strong narrative pulls me through it a bit more. If I'm more interested to see, at least from the start, where this is going.
Yeah.
So
I would say that
I'm hoping that
the
pulls it through.
couple of side characters they introduced so far, like Hanbei, the sword master or whatever, I like him well enough for the interaction I had with him. He left a better impression than most of the Ghost or Tsushima NPCs.
Yeah, and I'm like, I think the characters so far and the performances are a lot better, to the point where it's like, hey, maybe if this story is strong and carries on, and picks up and stays at that pace, maybe I will like this quite a bit, and maybe I'll like it more than Tsushima because I can at least go to the end of it. Hey, combat and like exploration aren't really my jam, but I really love the story. Whereas Ghost of Tsushima didn't jive with the combat, didn't really jive with the exploration, and I really didn't like the story. Like, it was like, this game's really good, it's just none of it's clicking for me.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that, hey, maybe this is the one where it's like, hey, if there's a story there, at least there's a through line there. I'm like, hey, didn't jive with everything, but hey, that story, pretty damn good. But I was, the main kind of topic I wanted to bring up, Hunter, was the thing that came up to me when I was playing this game about 90 minutes into it, was I said the phrase, and I said it unironically. I'm like, oh, it's another PlayStation Studios game.
Yeah.
Where I think I'm officially at the point now where they've homogenized the games that much, where I'm just like, I don't know, like a decade ago, 8 years ago, a PlayStation game used to mean something. Like, a PlayStation exclusive game used to mean something, where it's like, oh, they're cutting edge, they're at the forefront of everything, they're doing these games that other people don't make anymore, like they don't make currently, because they're scared to go against it. And now
they've got the best narratives money can buy.
Yeah, exactly. And now I feel like I'm just playing any other game that's a dime a dozen, and PlayStation makes, this is all PlayStation makes, are these third-person action games.
Humorously, like, at the end of the PS4 generation was when this criticism started. And, it was one of those things where, I don't know, I feel like some of them feel fundamentally different enough. And maybe it's just because it's a combination of, like, the output plus the broad similarities, I think, as far as, the pace in which they're coming out.
Yeah.
Be like, waiting all this time, and it's just another one that's kind of different.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, we used to badge on about Xbox being like this, where it's like all Xbox makes are shooters and racers. That's all they do is they make Forza, they make Halo, they make Gears of War. And now it's like Sony has ended up in their own little problem where it's like all they make is third-person narrative action games, and that is all they do. And it's saying something where I'm sitting there and I'm going, what are my two favorite PlayStation exclusives from the PS5 generation? Returnal and Astrobot.
Yep.
The two that aren't that mold. And I feel like there should be a place for these kinds of games, you know? It's like, I don't mind Horizon because I like Horizon, okay? I might be one of the only three, me and Hunter might be the only two people that like Horizon. But I like Horizon.
It feels more different than the rest of them in its own ways.
But even if it didn't,
because no one wants to give it credit for that.
Yeah, but even if it didn't, I'm like, okay, you're in your own genre. And it's like, God of War is also in that similar genre. I'm like, okay. I'm like, we don't need a third. We don't need a fourth. If Intergalactic is also one of these, which it sounds like it is, I'm like, we don't need more of these. I would really like Sucker Punch after, now that they finished Ghost of Yotei, a lot of people are asking them to go back and do Infamous or go back, you know, they're like, we won't do a Sly. Of course they won't. But what I'd really like for them to do is, the reason why I liked them doing Infamous, at least back when it was, you know, in its prime, I don't think it would work nowadays, is it was extremely unique. Where it was like, it felt good to have in the PlayStation portfolio. Where it was like,
yeah,
nobody else in the PlayStation portfolio was making a game like Infamous. So it felt like Sucker Punch had like a little place. And Ghost of Tsushima doesn't feel unique or special compared to any other PlayStation Studios game. And I wish that they'd go and do something that felt more Sucker Punch, you know, that felt more unique, that had more character action attributes. Because that's the thing is, you know, Rocket Robot on Wheels, the Sly games, the Infamous games, they all are kind of character action game, like platforming games. Like they all have platforming elements to it. Even Infamous had a lot of platforming elements to it. And it's like Ghost of Tsushima has zero platforming. It has like zero kind of.
Do you like jumping and grappling hooks?
It has genuinely like zero of the DNA of the prior entries. And I think, you know, the games are good, but they're not special, really, to me anyway.
Yeah,
maybe they are to somebody else.
There are a bunch of people who are ride or die for Tsushima, at least. Who knows how they'll feel about Yotei? Only time will tell. And it was like, oh, you know, it's really pretty and blah blah, etc. Yeah. For me, the main point of comparison and whatnot, I was like, oh, it's the Japanese Assassin's Creed game I always wanted, and made better than most Assassin's Creed games. You know,
yeah.
Like even then, its identity was still rooted in comparison to something else for me.
100%. And I don't know. I just like, I think the game is great. But I'll be saying the exact same thing when Cory Barlog's new game finally gets announced. If that is just God of War removing Kratos and putting it in a sci-fi setting, you know, the same kind of action elements, I'm going to be disappointed. I just kind of want some variety in the PlayStation portfolio, especially if we're only getting 2 games a year.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like everything just kind of homogenizes. In the same way that I hope that once Horizon 3 is finished, Guerrilla goes and does something else.
Yeah.
In the same way that I hope that Insomniac gets to make another video game that isn't a Marvel game. But even then, with Wolverine, I can at least say, hey, single-player action game like that, they aren't making Uncharted anymore, so it's kind of at least filled that own little void there. Even though it's still a superhero game, at least it's going into something that they're not doing at the moment. Because it seems like Intergalactic is more open. So it's like, hey, at least you're going back into I just don't know, Hunter. I find it very hard.
Even if Intergalactic was linear, at least Wolverine would probably also be, you know, fun.
Yeah, true. It won't make you feel depressed for half of its runtime. But I don't know, mate. It's just like I'm playing this game and I'm sitting there, and what I'm playing is a really pretty game that has great performances and, you know, plays really well for what it is. And I'm just sitting there and I'm going, been there, done that. this is the last 10 years of PlayStation. And it's like, would we be sitting there saying the same thing if we got to imagine it was 2015, Hunter, and Sucker Punch was making a game that wasn't Sly, but was still a very much a character action platformer that was in the exact same vein, and Insomniac didn't make Resistance and was just making more Ratchet and Clanks, and Naughty Dog had done the exact same thing. And would you be sitting there and going, oh yeah, this is great, dude, I'm having the time of my life, I wish this is the only thing that ever happens ever again? You'd be sitting there going, why are we all still in the same place we were 10 years ago? Why has nothing changed? And that's how I feel right now. It's just like,
I think part of
onwards,
it too is just the wheels of the game industry move really slow right now.
100%
is part of the problem.
100%.
Because, like, you know, a lot of this generation is like, oh, thing was successful, greenlight a sequel. It makes sense. It's just also
100%.
a lot of these things are really similar already, and now your output is slowed, and everything takes forever to come out. So,
and I think that
it takes that much longer to get to something brand new.
And I 100% agree with the fact that it's like, you know, originally with Sucker Punch, they had a generation, they made 3 Sly Cooper games. They had a generation, they made 2 Infamous games. They had a generation, they made Infamous and a new IP. And it's like, because let's be real, Second Son probably could have been a PS3 game. They basically made 3 Infamous games and then just made one for the next generation console early on. And now we're at a point where you can't do that. Where in reality, if you want to make these big AAA video games, then you're going to release one game a generation. You just are. Unless you've got a team that's like 300, 400 people and you're making 2 games at the same time. You're just not going to have the bandwidth.
Yeah.
The sequel format doesn't really work in this kind of setting. Because are players going to be interested? I'm very interested to see the sales of Ghost of Yotei, not because of the weird mob that's out against it, but because of how many people are 5 years on interested in a sequel to this kind of game. Because it's not a Mario Kart, it's not an Animal Crossing, it's not a Nintendo game where the IP is huge. It's outside of video games, right? It's like, it's just a sequel to a video game that people really liked. In the same way where I'm like, if Assassin's Creed 1 came out in 2007 and then Assassin's Creed 2 came out in 2015, do you think people would care about an Assassin's Creed 2, even if it was the Assassin's Creed 2 we got that was phenomenal, right? It's like, would people really care?
It's interesting the way that time... It's weird because different games have different sweet spots, you know? Like, I think that, for example, Devil May Cry 5 really benefited from its long break from 4 to 5 because that had a lot of fans chattering about how good the series was, and a bunch of people who had never played it before hopped in on that one. I think that Silent Hill has been the beneficiary of the same thing to an even bigger extent with these past 2 games, basically doubling the series output respectively each time. Because, you know, for as mismanaged as it was before it went away, and for the decade of in-between time, Silent Hill was still the second name on people's lips for horror games and horror games. So now with a new game out, people are like, ooh, let's see what this is about.
Totally. And my retort to that argument would be, Hunter, is the examples that you've just given are franchises that have been around for a long time, so they could do with taking a few years off to mean something. But when you're talking about, say, Ghost of Tsushima as an example, it's the first game in a franchise and you're waiting 6 years for a sequel, and it's like... You've not had... it's like... And there's nothing in Ghost of Yotei, again, fantastic game so far from what I've played, that I'm sitting there and going, oh, this feels like a 6-year gap or a 5-year gap. This feels like this took 5 years. The only reason that I'm sitting there going, this took 5 years to make, is because I'm looking at it and I'm going, oh, the leaves are following in the path that I'm getting. Like, I'm just sitting there, I'm going, this looks very expensive. And I genuinely think, Hunter, that we are on like the precipice. We are over the bell curve now of people just saying that people just automatically going better graphics equals better game. I genuinely think we are starting to get over that bell curve where people are starting to care a bit more about actually having really good video games.
Yeah. To use this Silent Hill example again, because it's just on the mind right now. Silent Hill F doesn't look as good as 2 Remake did, as far as pure fidelity wise. The facial animations aren't as detailed, and you can't. It's just not there as far as that's concerned. People didn't seem to care. It's sold just as much in the amount of time for as it was released, maybe even more. I don't remember how long it took 2 to get its million sales margin there, but and it's still really well received as far as that's concerned. It hit the threshold of it looks good enough for what people would be expecting.
Yeah.
And I feel like more people should settle for that in the ever ballooning world of budgets and time and all of that.
And I think that you can still have an extremely good looking game that can be made in a reasonable amount of time. I think that there is a sweet spot that is there.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to spend 6 years on a video game just to make it as incredibly as realistic as possible, because I don't think anybody gives a shit anymore. I just don't.
Yeah.
That's my one swear for the day. I swear, I promise. And it was let's be honest, it was a baby one. But yeah, I think that it's like, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, man, what are some of the best games that I've played this year? Because there've been so many good ones that I've played this year, and I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking of stuff like where it's like Silksong, Hades 2, Blueprints. I'm thinking of even stuff like Donkey Kong Bonanza. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, do they have incredible art styles? Yes. Do they have a bunch of incredibly talented artists that are making incredible looking games? Yes. But are any of those games cutting edge, high resolution 3, like even stuff like Clair Obscur Expedition 33 looks phenomenal, but it's not like, it's realistic, but it's not uber realistic, and most of the stuff they're using is off the shelf Unreal tech. Like the it's like,
that's honestly the more impressive thing, is that it's off the shelf Unreal.
Yeah, like they're not sitting
and they
there.
made it look that good.
They're sitting there with 33 team members making it look that good, and I'm like, maybe we just need to stop going bigger and just start like making more unique things again. I would love Sucker Punch to like break up into 2 teams and come up with some smaller ideas. Like, I'd love that. I think it'd be great.
I think the term "work smarter, not harder" is something that like dev studios at large should take to or keep in mind.
100%. Yeah, I think it's, I don't know. I think that, like I said, I don't think this is a Sucker Punch problem. I think they're making fantastic games. I think Ghost of Yotei is still great, despite, for some reason, not being as in love with it as other people are. But I just think it is a PlayStation problem in general, where I was just sitting there and I'm going, if you were to tell me next year that there was another one of these coming out, or that, Cory Barlog's next game is this, or that Interstellar is this, and I've got to play that next, am I going to really be sitting there and going, cutting edge? Because right now I'm just like, the graphics are cutting edge. The gameplay still feels like stuff that I've been playing since 2008.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's hard. And I think this is a problem the entire industry is struggling with, not just PlayStation, and the fact that I think that unique ideas are hard to come by. And I think that's why this year has been so refreshing for, the community, is you've had games like Blueprints, which is one of the best puzzle games since like Portal 2. That you've had wonderful indie sequels like Hollow Knight, Silksong, and Hades 2 prove that you can take a small idea that was fantastic and just go ham with it and make an incredible sequel that you can still, even if you hit the nail on the head the first time, you can still find a way to just absolutely make it better.
Yeah.
that you have games like Expedition 33 that show that small dev teams can make really meaningful video games, and that, you know, that you can have companies like Nintendo, who, even though Nintendo have been on my bad naughty list for like most of this year, can make
Yeah.
games like Donkey Kong Bonanza that still bring a smile to my face, even though they run at 35 FPS and still look like a PS3 game. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah,
like,
like the story of a lot of this year with the major successes has been proving that you can do what you want and still find success.
yeah. And I don't know. I look at PlayStation Studios, and I look at certain teams, and I look at like Housemarque, and I look at Asobi, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, you're filling a part of that portfolio right now that nobody else is, and I really appreciate you being there. It may take you 5 years to make Saros. It may take you 5 years to make an Astrobot sequel, but when you're there, the impact is felt.
Yeah, yeah, like the impact of Returnal is still felt now because besides Astrobot, or depending on who you are, you know, Returnal's still been the best PlayStation game this generation.
Yeah, I sit there and I'm like, wow, what impact. Or with Astrobot, I'm like, oh, no one else in Sony's first party lineups making family platformers. Cool. I love that. That's great. It's like I used to have Bluepoint. Remember Bluepoint when they used to make remakes of PlayStation classics? Wasn't that a fun concept? Wasn't that a fun and quirky concept?
It sure would have been nice if they would have had the time to make one of those, you know, in the years since they've been purchased.
And you
But
know,
no,
and I still think
you had to
those,
make a God
yeah.
of War multiplayer game.
And I don't know. I don't know if the PlayStation 5 generation. Well, I do. I think the PlayStation 5 generation is going to be looked back as the stumble, where everyone kind of lost their feet, and you still have people like Insomniac that are still making character action platforming games that are really fun, and you know, like, even though they're making licensed games with Spider-Man, they still very much feel like Insomniac, because that's the kind of game Insomniac was making beforehand with Ratchet and Clank and Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah.
I just think it's like, I don't know, it's the era of sequels and the era of kind of complacency.
That wouldn't be so bad if maybe the other half of the era wasn't also failed multiplayer endeavors.
Yeah. So true.
Like if the other teams that they had were working on things that, you know, could be fun and different and weren't all also banking on being a good banking on being a marketable live service thing, maybe then the portfolio would be being filled out a little better. But they took the criticism of, oh, a lot of your games are all the same. And we're like, oh, go make this half of the people go make another thing that are all the same as what we're telling you to do.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I feel like a big solution to this would just be having smaller games from PlayStation Studios. Have each studio, if each studio is going to use a lot of money to make these big third-person open world video games, maybe go, hey, can we have a Splinter group that's maybe like 70 people or 60 people that can just make a small, more experimental thing that, you know, doesn't have to be. And, you know, I guess they're going to do that. Like, Sucker Punch is technically doing that with Yotei Legends, you know, but
yeah. There's that rumored thing with that rumored God of War Metroidvania thing.
which I feel like that would very much fill a good little spot if it's true and it's real.
You know, and in theory, yeah, but also I feel like a lot of people, I feel like after, if it came out 2 years after
Chasing the Goose,
Ragnarok
they're chasing the goose.
Instead of, you know, 4 to 5 now and counting. Because now it's like, oh, it's been that long and this is what you've got.
It's yeah, it's an interesting one, man. It's an interesting one. I don't know. I sit there and it's like, I don't know. Back in the PlayStation 4 era, people would be like, why do you have a PS4? And I'm like, well, one, it's because all of my friends play on PlayStation, really. But also it's because of, look at all these amazing exclusives and just amazing experiences that you have on PlayStation that nobody else is making. And now if you were to ask me the same question, I basically respond with, Oh, because my friends play on PlayStation, so I have a PlayStation to do that. And this isn't because they come into PC. This is not anything about that. I'm not a console elitist. Everything could go to PC as far as I'm concerned. I don't care. But the games that are coming to console and PC eventually are just more of the same, and I'm kind of fatigued of the same. It's like if another God of War came out right now and it was the exact same as Ragnarok, just in Egypt. I'd be a bit fatigued of that too. I think what made God of War 2018 so special was because it was such a drastic difference. And I'm looking for that drastic difference when the next God of War comes out. But we'll see. Anyway, that's what I call Ghost of Yotei and the PlayStation Studios problem. It sounds like a children's book gone horribly wrong, but hey ho, there you go. Moving on. These will both be smaller topics because I don't have too much to say. First thing I wanted to mention was the Mario Galaxy Remasters, Hunter, because I bought them. Before you go and dislike the video, if you haven't already, because I mean, you know, I'm sure Ghost of Yotei fans have already smited us down. The reason I bought it was because an outlet in the UK, a retail outlet, mistakenly put it up really cheap. They put it up for like $40 instead of, it was pretty ridiculous. It was like $50 instead of the 70 or whatever it's supposed to be. And they matched it. They were like, we done goofed and we'll keep it up. So I got it for super cheap. And I've never played them, so I'm like, hey, why not? So I dabbled with them for like about an hour and a half for this podcast, just to say, Hunter, they're very good. They're very good ports of the games. If you're playing on Switch too, they're native 4K, which is really cool. I also have 3D All-Stars, so I decided, hey, I should do my due diligence, Hunter, and I should play like the first half an hour on 3D All-Stars and the first half an hour on the new version of Galaxy One, and let's at least see if there's anything different, right? Is there any difference? Is it the exact same thing? Couple of things. One, the cutscenes seem to be identical from the 3D All-Stars version. They have not re-rendered them in 4K. They are still all pre-rendered in 1080p in the exact same quality. So that's that. They didn't make any changes there, which I think is fair enough. I don't think you play Mario for the high-quality FMVs. I think you play Mario for the gameplay. So
I don't think putting 4K rendering on a Wii game is going to make it look any prettier.
Yeah. But in terms of the games themselves, they control the exact same way. They still have all of the features that the 3D All-Stars version has. You can still play with a Pro Controller, jaggle the motion on the Pro Controller to do the little star bits, gathering, and just play as normal. It still works pretty well. What they have added, which I think is really nice, I don't know why this wasn't in 3D All-Stars, is controller stick inputs on the menus. So you can turn off motion sensors basically in its entirety and just play it like a stick, just a non-stick video game, similar to how they did it with Skyward Sword. You can just do everything on the sticks now. Because in the 3D All-Stars version, in the menus, you were having to move your Pro Controller up and around like it's
Oh my god,
to select things. So
hideous.
Yeah, so they fixed that now, and then the big difference is on the menus, you've got the entire soundtrack, so you can just listen to the soundtrack if you're a deviant that listens to Mario music on the game instead of just on your phone on the Nintendo Music app or on YouTube like a normal person. So that's added. There's a couple of new tracks apparently. And then the main difference is they run at 4K 60 locked, which you'd expect. It's a Wii game, ladies and gentlemen. And they've updated a load of the textures, and they do look nicer. They haven't like AI upscaled them. They've gone back in and just done completely new textures for a lot of stuff to just make it look a lot cleaner. And it's enough for me to visibly notice a difference. If you own 3D All-Stars, is it worth $40 to buy the new version? No, don't be stupid. It's not. If you can get the bundle of the cartridge that's like on sale at some point with 1 and 2, yeah, maybe. And obviously it's worth playing Galaxy 2 if you want that, because it's a great version of it from the little that I've played of it so far. I think what a lot of Nintendo fans also have to realize is, and I'm not trying to shill here for Nintendo, and I think $80 is flipping abysmal, and I think that's a terrible idea. But when people are like, I can't believe they're repackaging it, I'm like, well, stupid Nintendo decided to delist that old version before, like, and take it off the store shelves. So there'll be a lot of people that have bought a Switch since March of 2021 who do not have access to Mario Galaxy. So I don't think it's wrong for them to repackage it. I just wish it was a more reasonable price. Like, that's my main gripe with it. Because they've put quite a bit of effort into these textures and into the port itself, especially if you're playing on Switch 2. It's pretty all right. I think it's fine. Like, I have no kind of concerns with it. I think that, yeah, it's good because now, Hunter, now that we have Switch Online, you theoretically, all of the games that were in the 3D All-Stars collection can now, well, eventually be played because Sunshine's confirmed for GameCube. So you'll have the NSO 64, NSO GameCube, and then you can play the Wii games on this. Yeah, I mean, God, it means like every mainline 3D Mario game except for 3D Land is now playable on Nintendo Switch 2, which is kind of mental when you think about it. Where's 3D Land, Nintendo? You cowards! Like, you might as well finish the job at this point. Finish the job.
I think 3D Land probably in their heads is similar in a way to like how the Super Nintendo versions of a lot of their games were just the superior versions of the first thing they made.
True, maybe.
Or 3D Land probably just kind of got assimilated and ate by 3D World in their brains.
Yeah, potentially.
Because I had to hear you say it the second time for me to even process that there was one before 3D World.
True. But yeah, I mean, I think these are fine. I think if you can get them cheap, like I did, because I basically ended up paying about $20 per game, which is how much they were on the Wii U eShop. I think it's good. So, and this game will go on sale, and it's not a limited time offer. They're not trying to blackmail you into buying a product.
Yeah.
I think these are good ports. If you can get them on sale, then I'd highly recommend it. If you already own Galaxy One and you're sitting there going, are these upgrades worth it? No. But if you want a new way to play Galaxy 1 and 2, and I'm not going to stop you. More power to you. They're good games. That's the thing, is they're not shilling out slop here. It's not two terrible games. Galaxy 1 and 2 are quite beloved by a lot of people. So,
yeah, it's not like they're asking you $70 for 1-2 Switch or something.
Yeah, a bundle of everybody's 1-2 Switch and 1-2 Switch together. Yeah, imagine.
Also, one thing I've come to notice with, at least as far as, just observing internet sales on like Donkey Kong and stuff, is that it's not a substantial drop, but it drops below 70 down to like 62 is the magic number a lot. So that's one of those things.
I'd really recommend not buying them on the eShop. That'd be my thing. The physical copy in the UK, at least, it's like, for example, the digital bundle on the eShop is like £58 or something ridiculous like that. I have seen it everywhere physical for at least like 50. So it's like £8 cheaper just getting it physical now. By the time you get into sales and stuff like that, like I say, I got it for 40, so it's like it'll go down. It'll go down. Trust me, it'll go down.
Yeah.
But hey, there you go. That's all I had to really say on it. Was it's pretty good, if you can believe it. And next up, I want to talk a bit about the Black Ops 7 beta run, because I've got some story. I've got some tea for you. Okay, I've got some fun little.
Oh boy.
So, Black Ops 7 is a video game that exists for some reason. It's weird, right? Have you heard anything about this game, Hunter? Have you heard anything at all?
Besides the trailer that made me angry, no.
That was funny. Yeah. So Call of Duty's not having a good year, mainly because Battlefield's coming out, so they've got a bit of competition. And it turns out, Hunter, that ignoring your fan base and just making slop for like 5 years finally catches up to you eventually, because everyone's just basically going on strike.
Is the number only 5?
Oh, yeah, true. But I mean, to them, yeah, 5. It's got to the point now where people are like, I'm going to skip a year, right? And you can very much tell that the pre-order numbers are low because Call of Duty's starting to listen to their fan base. So they first were like, okay, we've heard you. We're going to stop putting the stupid anime skins and like Beavis and Butthead into the game. We're going to stop doing stupid skins. And then everybody turned around and looked at each other and went, oh, they're actually listening. They might actually listen. They might actually listen here. Let's try harder. So the boycotts kind of continued a little bit. And then we've got to the beta and they were like, we're bringing the color back. Everything's not going to be gray anymore. And like, oh my God, they're listening, guys. Keep going. And then the beta's just come out, Hunter. And obviously the beta numbers aren't fantastic because for years, the community's been saying skill-based matchmaking in these games is abysmal. They have like made Call of Duty used to be fun because you just be put with whoever's closest to you on the servers, right? They just put you with randoms. So some game you could be absolutely battered, and in another game you could be in a team. You could have an enemy team full of 8-year-olds, and you just have the best game of your life because you're just absolutely destroying them, right? And for like the past 5 years, skills-based matchmaking has obliterated that. It's made it absolutely unplayable. Every game's a sweat fest. Every game is just a miserable experience. And Activision's response to this is, you guys are making it up. We've always had skill-based matchmaking. You're just all making it up. And so, funny enough, Hunter, the beta's just come out.
What an absurd thing to claim.
Yeah. So the beta's come out. It's not doing that well. Everyone's saying the skill-based matchmaking is abysmal and stuff like that. The game's pretty good, okay? The game's, for Call of Duty, it's the best it's been in years, but it's because they're listening to feedback. They're basically being blackmailed by by a boycott to actually fix the game. And then on Saturday, as of recording, Hunter, Treyarch sends a tweet out that's like, hey guys, starting today, we're going to be testing a second playlist where we've disabled skill-based matchmaking. Have fun if you want. And everybody has obviously tried it. And it's the best the game's ever played in like the past 6 years. So it's like, you hop straight in. So I've been playing it. I'm like, yeah, this is great. It's like old Call of Duty. And it's like, it just makes me laugh that they've been denying it for 6 years, and then all of a sudden the sales are going to poo, and they've just turned the off button on it, and then everyone's like, oh, so it was real, was it? Wow, that's crazy.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, this is like one of the only this is the only times I've seen where it seems like a boycott's actually working in the video games industry, ladies and gentlemen. It seems like... And the Game Pass thing surely doesn't help. I bet you they're absolutely breaking themselves right now.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really bold move on Xbox's part to up the price of your console, and then also, in turn, the next week, up the next revenue stream you'd be getting in price, thus making people cancel your subscription.
And then remember, they were supposed to have this by this time in the year, like Outer Worlds 2 in a couple of weeks. They were supposed to start making $80 video games their default as well. So they were already on that course. Imagine that.
They sure were going to try, but even before they officially repealed the $80 thing on Outer Worlds, like, no retailer was selling it for $80. Like, they're like, no one's going to buy it. Like, this, we're not going to list it here.
Yeah. But yeah. I just think it's a really funny story of the biggest, gaming franchise in the world, technically, absolutely sweating it right now because of a little bit of competition and everybody having enough of the slop. And I'm like, I'm very proud of the Call of Duty community. Not really. I know what most of them are like. Don't want to be associated with them. But yeah. I'm kind of proud that they've stood up for themselves a little bit here, where they're like, we're fed up of the slop. We're fed up of you making 2 titles back-to-back in the same franchise, where the first one is not very good, and then you basically make the buying gimmick, like the reason to buy the next one is we fixed all the issues of the first one. Like, because that's basically what they're doing, is they make Black Ops 6, it's the map design's terrible, the gameplay feels awful, and then Black Ops 7 comes out and they're like, good maps, the gameplay's not awful, and it's like... I understand how frustrated people can be about that kind of stuff, and my main kind of my main retort to that would be, hey, if you play Call of Duty and the reason that you play Call of Duty isn't that your friends blackmail you into playing it, then get out of those minds. You've got no reason to be there. That's like my kind of...
You have like 900 other games that you could just play from the same series instead.
Dude, 100%, dude, 100%.
If the past 5 years of new stuff hasn't been good, then just play the last one you've liked.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I'm interested to see how the boycott continues. And just to see how much more
I
they
hope
can
it continues. I hope this one flops. This one wounded me personally.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to November 14th. As for my impressions of the beta, like I say, I think it plays pretty good, actually. It's a lot better than the last one. But I think they need to learn from their mistakes, that you can't just keep promising stuff and then go, we'll make it up to you next time, and expect people to keep buying.
Yeah.
But hey, it's all fun and games, Hunter. It's all fun and games.
No, but like the last one really must have been bad, because I remember just kind of regular old person talking to me. I think it was I went to get my oil changed like shortly after the one last year came out, and the one guy the guy doing it was like, man, that new Call of Duty was real bad this year. And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry, I don't play those, but that sucks.
Dude, it's really bad. It's really bad. But yeah, new games are over, I guess. All hail old games.
Yeah.
Do we do this final topic, Hunt? Do you want to do this final topic, or do you not want to do it? I feel like I've been yapping a lot at you recently, dude. I feel like I'm just yapping at you. I feel like this is more of a therapy session than a podcast at this point.
I don't know. We can do this topic. I feel like I've still had a lot of that brewing inside of me for the past months.
The topic, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? The surprise topic. Maybe I do list it as surprise topic, just so you guys don't know what we're talking about. Just for funsies, I finished Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. I finally played it, and I finally beat it all in the last 2 weeks. I basically had some time off from work, and I was like, I really should play this because I've been putting it off for 6 months. I remember I read Hunter's review when it came out. I didn't remember much of Hunter's review. Hunter, you gave it a 3 out of 5, which is the exact same score I gave Life is Strange Double Exposure. And I was sitting there going, really? Is it that bad? Well, not that bad. I shouldn't say that. Is it really that, average?
Well, Ethan probably looked at that and thought the world was about to split open, because usually I'm pretty generous about
what I did. Genuinely, I saw a Hunter 3 and I was that's what put me off playing the game for a long time. So I'm like, a Hunter 3 might be an Ethan 1. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how bad this could possibly be, but I gave it a whirl. And
well, to be fair, you play Call of Duty, and that's like a Hunter 1.
True. I mean, I don't play it because I want to. I want to make that explicitly clear that I have friends who, unfortunately, have no taste in video games, so I just have to play it. So, yeah, anyway, it was interesting because I saw that 3 out of 5, and I was like, ooh, that's going to be controversial, but it seems to be that everybody that's watched the review and everybody that's read the review on the website seems to be in a pretty similar ballpark to your impressions, Hunter, which is funny because I felt like I was also going to get bombarded with hate for my review of Double Exposure, and it actually turned out that people were pretty receptive to my thoughts on it as well. So that's always nice. Not that I ever worry about angering people, because I'm not going to change my opinion because somebody else really likes Chloe from Life is Strange 1, you know? Like, I'm not going to do that. But I read your review.
Yeah.
I've played the game, and I came
think
out
the
of
most
it.
shocking thing is that it's like a nuanced opinion about it, not extreme one way or the other, and people actually like, I agree. That never happens.
And legitimately, I finished the game, and I was in the exact same spot as you, Hunter, where it's like, if I did review Lost Records, like I originally was potentially going to, I probably would have landed on the exact same score as you, as a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
Um, this game has some really good, like, the way I described it to you was I feel like Lost Records is the better game compared to Double Exposure, but it's like, whereas Life is Strange Double Exposure is a really fun roller coaster that some has some really high highs and then some abysmal lows. Lost Records just kind of is like a monorail where it just kind of goes on its journey and it reaches the station on the other side and you walk off and you feel nothing the whole time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just kind
Yeah,
of exists.
like I would give Lost Records the edge over Double Exposure as well, but that's also because Double Exposure had farther to fall
It
as
hurt
far
me
as
at the end. It hurt me
that's
at the end.
as far as it fumbling the bag. Whereas Lost Records, I think the disappointment comes more from seeing what they had there and a different version of what it could have been, rather than it was going real good right up until the end, and then it all went to, you know.
Yeah, and so yeah, if you wanted my TLDR thoughts without spoilers, because I feel like we're safe to go into a little bit of spoilers here, by the way. So if you don't want spoilers for Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, and he said Lost Records Double Exposure there, that would have been funny.
Oh man, imagine that world.
2 time, that'd be back to back. No, thank you. That'd be awful. Yeah, I feel like the game just it's don't nod at its worst at times, where you have got characters who are caricatures of 90s stereotypes that are woefully bland and awful. You also have some really kind of heartwarming and just kind of moving conversations with people while you're playing it as well. It's weird where it's like it still has that don't nod charm where the writing is utterly awful, but it feels so genuine in its
Yeah, it
um
comes across with like such a, earnestness that
sincerity.
it's hard to
Yeah.
completely dislike.
Um but it's just this narrative goes nowhere, and I think I think that it takes way too long to get to its plot twist, and when that dime finally does drop, it does nothing with it. And the whole mystery surrounding the abyss just kind of feels like a nothing burger that never gets resolved, and the whole game leaves itself on a cliffhanger that I personally believe will never be explored. Not just because I don't think this game's going to get a sequel because of its middling sales, but also because I feel like this is the kind of thing where if they did make another Lost Records, that it'd be like an anthology like Yotei, where it's
Yeah,
like they go and
I
do something
don't
else and they
think.
go, we'll leave it to your interpretation, but there's nothing to theory craft with this story. There is nothing that this game leaves you with where you go, oh, I'm going to play it again with that knowledge in mind and see what happens. There's nothing there. I thought half of the things that people are claiming is that theory crafting were bugs. I didn't even realize that it was an intended part of the game.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem with this one for me is that like all of the supernatural magic stuff this time felt like it was there more out of obligation than it
Yeah.
was because it enhanced the story. Like with the first Life is Strange, you know, the time travel stuff enhanced the story with, Max using her powers to, perform actions as you see fit in the game or whatever. This time it's just a mystical hole in the middle of the woods,
It's like
might accept blood offerings.
I wrote in my double exposure review that it's like the whole premise to me of Life is Strange was it's about ordinary people being chucked into extraordinary situations. Where it's like, Max Caulfield at the end of the day is just, she's not like if it wasn't for the time travel powers in that game, like, if it wasn't for that, in terms of her character dynamic, she's not even a side character, really. She is like, she's the quiet kid in class that nobody ever talks to. She's not an
Yeah.
interesting person to necessarily look into regarding the whole, but it's just the powers kind of they add on something. And also, the thing that's so crucial about Life is Strange is that the time travel powers are so integral to the story, because, and not in the way that you think. I feel like any other story would use kind of time travel powers to be like, okay, this is what happens when you play with time. And the game does do that in the middle parts of it, but it's like, the idea of it is, at the end of the day, is it's like, the time travel caused everything to unravel like that. It's like the power it was kind of the catalyst for the narrative, whereas the Abyss is not the
Yeah.
catalyst for the narrative here. The
If you
Abyss
remove the
is a
Abyss from
gimmick,
this story, you get a better story.
legitimately. And spoilers start now, by the way. If you do not want spoilers, it's been nice knowing you. See you next week. You've got this comically terrible villain in Corey, who, I don't know why he becomes a 90s slasher comedy like villain in the end, where he's riding on a motorbike with a stupid wolf mask going, "Hey, where are you?" Like he's a... I swore again. Oh, I'm gonna have to write that down. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, I don't know what it is about him, but he just does nothing for me, like, at all. Like, he's just like, I don't know. It feels like this. What this really needed to be was a story about friends, like, finding friends on the last days of summer before you move. Like, that's what I thought that this
Yeah.
was. And what it becomes is, and I think there's a cool mystery there. When you say it out loud, where you're like, okay, this game takes place in 1995. You play as a character called Swan, who is on her last summer break before she moves to Canada. And there's this mysterious abyss that they find, and for whatever reason, everyone has forgotten what happened on one night in 1995, and they've never spoken to each other again. And this is the story of what happened and what happens when they meet again for the first time in 30 years. It's a cool premise. But then when I tell you that the time travel aspect of it doesn't matter, because it really doesn't matter about the modern day story, just doesn't matter whatsoever. The Abyss really doesn't have a foothold in the narrative at all whatsoever. And what it really is about some losing a friend, and an abusive boyfriend as a part of that family. Like, that is genuinely what it is. And I'm like,
it's
just not good.
Yeah, it's really perplexing because, I even said this in the review, I think, is that they had all the setup for what would have been just a straightforward, really great coming of age story without the magic, where, the plot twist with Kat, I think, would have been, especially without the threat of, magic hoopla, then there would be no out. Then it would have hit even harder, which, I the end of tape one was the most interested I was in the story. It was a bummer that it took another month for the other part to come out, because
Yeah.
by then I was like, I was definitely more interested leaving tape one than I was going in, and then tape two just kind of failed to deliver on anything.
Yeah, tape two is really a mess. Like, I don't think there's very few good bits of tape two. There are some good bits of tape two, but I don't think there's anything truly there. And I don't think like I say, I don't think the game really uses its setup to come to a satisfying conclusion whatsoever. I feel like the tape two just kind of flounders until it goes, oh, I guess tonight's the night it ends.
Yeah.
And for no real reason, the game just decides whether you like it or not. That's the ending that you get. Bye bye, as we all walk off into obscurity. I just like I say, I just don't get it really. I think there's a really interesting narrative there. I think the plot twist, and again, spoilers if you haven't played Lost Records. I think the plot twist of having Kat have cancer and that she died in 1995, I think that's a good plot twist. I think it's a good premise. I like the idea of it. I think it's kind of, it's what Don't Nod do well, and it's what Life is Strange does well, which is, not having happy endings.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a happy ending, really, in Life is Strange. At least in the first 2 games, there's not really a happy ending. And I feel like this game is trying. It's like, do you know what it feels like? And it feels really mean saying this because it's from the original creators of Life is Strange. It feels almost like a tribute act.
That is, yeah.
It almost feels as if it's somebody who is going, oh, I really like Life is Strange. I want to make a game like Life is Strange. And it needs this weird sci-fi element to it. And it needs you need to have romance options. And you need to be able to, it needs to be nostalgia bait for people that didn't live in that time. And it needs to, be based
the weirdest
off of...
thing is that, like, they've already shown that they can do games like Life is Strange really well outside of the IP with Tell Me Why.
Yeah,
It doesn't make sense.
I know. It feels very weird. And it's like, in the end, I don't know. I just wish this was... I don't know. There's a part of me that kind of just wished that obviously the plot twist in Act 1 I think is good. I would have liked it even more if the plot twist in Act 2 was that the abyss never existed and it was a metaphor. It just turn it into a metaphor for grief or something, where they put the blame into this thing that never actually happened.
Yeah, that would have saved the supernatural element if they insisted on having it. If they just made it not real, that would have been
But
nice.
I don't know. There's a lot of it that just, I don't know. It just makes me sad because it's like I'm sitting there and I'm like, you get to the end of the game and you're reading the note that Kat left and all the items. And to be honest, that section, I was sitting there and I'm like, it's kind of getting me here because I did like Kat as a character, and the moments with those characters was the bit that I enjoyed. So I'm sitting here going, I'm emotionally reading this letter and I'm like, I'm getting a bit teary eyed where I'm like, I'm feeling sad here, but I'm also sitting there going, damn, it's a shame the story was absolute garbage. Like, I like these characters and I feel like I'm being moved here. And then there is some cool stuff where you look at the lockbox and you open it up and wait, hang on a second. Not only is this all stuff that is from from 1995, from the stuff, but it's the camera that got thrown into the abyss. It's the flower that I gave Kat that shouldn't exist anymore, but it's perfectly preserved. And there's some cool mystery in that of, wait, why the hell has that shown up now? The explanation she gives is, oh, it's the sister that gave it to him. But was it? Because it's like, where was she? You think she'd hand deliver it with everything that, whatever. It's like, there's a bit of a mystery there. It's like, how has all this stuff survived? How is it still all in perfect condition? But they're never going to touch that stuff. And that's like the bits about the mystery that I am interested in. It feels like there should have been a tape 3. I don't want more of this game, but it feels like there should have been, It feels like there should have been.
The fundamental problem is that I want a different game.
Yeah, true. I don't disagree with you.
They insist on having something that really doesn't complement it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because, like, yeah. I do think that the dynamic of the core cast is really good. I liked them as a group quite a bit.
I think that's fine. I really like Swan. I think Swan's pretty good. I like Kat. I think Kat's pretty good. Nora, I think, is fine, but she's way too loud. And Autumn just kind of suffers from, in doing a character where it's like, I always feel left out, or that you don't want to hang out with me. You end up giving somebody a character that feels left out, that you don't want to hang out with because the narrative wants to go in that direction with her. It's like, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. And like, she's also like the one that isn't loud to balance. Like, she's Nora's friend. Yeah. That's the normal one. And like, I understand why you wouldn't maybe not like Nora as much. I think the reason she's so loud in the past is to contrast how lifeless she is in the future.
Which again, I'd be like, fair play if the future actually mattered.
Yeah.
And don't get me started on the ending with the abyss. Like, that the ending of Swan for some reason. Again, I'm sitting there and it's like, in my game, in my game, I had like the perfect storm where, from a narrative perspective, it made sense for her to go into the forest because she's hearing Cat's voice and enter the abyss. Where I'm like, but if you romanced Autumn or you romanced Nora, there's no real logical reason why Swan would go and walk back into that forest by herself after everybody else has left her behind and walk into the abyss. I'm like, this is a very weird kind of thing where I'm just sitting there and I'm like, there's a lot of permutations in the story, and not that they're important, but there's enough permutations where it's like, you've got to go on a very narrow path to get to the point where I'm fully buying that ending. And then at the same time, I'm like, so what's the point? What does it mean?
Yeah, it's
Who knows? I swore again, Hunter.
Anywhere.
I can't do it. I swore again.
It's not really gonna go anywhere, sadly, or not that I really want it to go anywhere. The sequel hook of the element of the game that I didn't like as much isn't gonna really get me to go jazzed for a Lost Records 2.
Yeah. But and also it's one of those things where it's like, if they make another Lost Records and it is an anthology thing, the whole idea of the Abyss, if that's what the gimmick is the Abyss effects, is like, again, I wouldn't be that interested.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I just wouldn't. It's like, and I think what's interesting is, and it's what, hey, I'll be number one Deck 9 critique, no, number one hater of Deck 9 at times when it gets to dual exposure. But I think what Deck 9 nailed with Before the Storm is they realized that it's the characters and the choices. You don't necessarily have to have a power. They did it with True Colors. Empathy is not really a game changer of a power. You can't do much really with empathy.
Superpower. That really only affects Alex.
You can get a vibe check before you enter the conversation, but that's about it. I think they understood that really what it was about was the characters and those dynamics. And Don't Nod still lives in that world. And to be honest, I think it affects double exposure as well, where it's like Life is Strange 2 with Daniel and his powers, but it's like, yeah, but what's the cost of the powers and how is it affecting us and how is it affecting the dynamics? And I'm like, really, I don't care about that. I don't need the superhero kind of dynamics here. I just like an ordinary person being inconvenienced with this thing that they'd rather not have. That's kind of the vibe that I like from these kinds of things. And I think the game would have been a lot stronger without the Abyss and just being a tape about an idea about 1995 and nostalgia and losing a friend. I think would have been a lot more powerful. But hey ho. Even keep Corey being an arsehole. You do that all you want, mate. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just don't make him wear a wolf mask on a motorbike because he starts cackling to himself like a mustache twirling comedic villain.
Like, I think that, in a different world without the magic and stuff, I think the, a scene where they just stand up to him at the end, like near the end of tape 1 almost, would have been fine as a climax to part of the issues there.
Yeah. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Closing thoughts, like I say, I think it has a lot of problems. Why Don't Nod still don't do lip sync for their video games still baffles me. Everybody still looks like a plasticine person when it comes to talking, and it's very weird. Soundtrack is very good from an ambient point of view, except for that awful song that they wrote. Like, my gosh. And I don't know. At first, I was on team. Yeah, they made this song awful on purpose. But then when I'm sitting there being forced to listen to it for the 26th time in this video game, I'm like, no, someone liked this. Someone liked it, and it was not me.
Like I said, I think I enjoyed the official trailer version without them sandbagging the vocal performance.
There's an acoustic version at the end of it. If you have the ending that I had where everybody was together, there's an acoustic version that plays where I was like, that is very good. Shame it took you guys 30 years to learn to not do it terribly. Unlucky, guys. I don't know. Like I say, it's one of those weird ones, dude. It's definitely one of the bigger disappointments for me this year. Which is funny because Double Exposure was one of the bigger disappointments for me last year. So join us next year I hope not.
Which narrative adventure game is a swing and a miss next year?
I really hope that it's not. I really hope there isn't one, dude. I really hope there isn't, or it's good. Because here's the two things, Hunter, is it's like it's a 50-50 shot here, because if there's one of them that's going to come out, it'll either be one, The Wolf Among Us 2, which will come out of dev hell, release and be awful, or two, they finish the Double Exposure sequel and I have to deal with that can of worms again and unbox that.
Oof. Yeah.
So, who knows? Maybe take a year off, guys. Maybe take a year off. Maybe we just need to vibe a little and just chill. Maybe. Anyway, we'll leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you have enjoyed. I'll put our links on screen right now. Next week, who knows what we'll be talking about? It might be a topic episode. We might talk about... Are there any other games next week? I know Yooka Replay is out, but... Oh, no, it's playing the bits again. Because Yooka Replay... I don't... Yeah, I feel like... we can chuck that in the second half of the show. I don't think that needs to be a main topic. And I'm not saying that because they wouldn't give me a review code. I'm just saying that because... I'm just saying that because I don't know how much time I'll have to put into it. We'll see. We'll see. We'll get around to it this week. There's at some point in the next couple of weeks. And I think there'll definitely be a review for that. So look out for that at some point in the near future. Anyway, whatever we talk about next week, you'll find out, I guess. But thank you guys for hanging out with us this week. As always, if you enjoyed, a follow or a subscribe on YouTube would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, give us a good rating on iTunes. I don't know. Last I checked, we still had a 5-star rating. So if you would like us to keep that 5-star rating, please give us a positive rating on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. But hey, thank you for hanging out with us. We'll be back same time, same place next week for more. But until then, have an awesome week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Toodaloo.